be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my redeemer. Charge us, challenge us, and encourage us in Jesus' name. For you are worthy of all praise. Amen. Clap your hands, everybody. Applaud the Lord with a worthy praise. Amen. May the Lord bless you real good. Thank you, sounds of praise. Thank you. The lesson today is taken from Genesis chapter 16, verses 1 through 13. I'm reading from the New King James Version. You'll follow along with me in your Bibles, and with that on the monitors and on your devices. And here begins the reading of God's word. So Abram said to Sarai, indeed, your maid is in your hand. Do to her as you please. And when Sarai dealt harshly with her, she fled from his presence. And now the angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness, by the spring on the way to shore. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's maid, where have you come from and where are you going? She said, I'm fleeing from the presence of my mistress, Sarai. The angel of the Lord said to her, return to your mistress and submit yourself under her hand. And then the angel of the Lord said to her, I will multiply your descendants exceedingly, so that they shall not be counted for multitude. And the angel of the Lord said to her, behold, you are with child, and you shall bear a son. You shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your affliction. He shall be a wild man. His hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. Then she called the name of the Lord who spoke to her, you are the God who sees. For she said, have I also here seen him who sees me? Therefore the well was called there Lahai Roi. Observe, it is between Kadesh and Bered. The word of the Lord. The person who is the focus of today is usually not talked about on days like these. Truthfully, she is rarely spoken about in the light of her true story. Her circumstances were not of her making, but of others. The decisions made about her life were not the best for her. She is drawn into the drama, conflict, and doubt of others, used to satisfy a promise she didn't make, and despised by the one who chose her as the solution to a problem. The outcome is one that would play out any night on any network television, cable vision, and social media. What could have been an unhappy ending draws God in with promises that cannot be measured. Despised, dispossessed, in despair, and yet blessed. And for the time that is mine today, I want to talk to you from the subject, blessed anyway. Encourage your friends all around you with the words, with all I've been through. I'm blessed anyway. Would you go the other way and talk to those friends and just say to them, all I've been through, I'm blessed anyway. Now I really want you to go again and talk to somebody else and tell them, after all you've been through, you are blessed anyway. Conflict. There is no story unless there is conflict. We don't like conflict in our lives, but we are drawn to it in others. Just think about it. Back in the day, before DVR, web TV, YouTube, Netflix, and demand TV, and all the apps, we either waited for the reruns or depended upon faithful friends to bring us up to date. There is a generation of television viewers who know very little to nothing about video cassette recorders, aptly known as VCRs. And days of cable, the early days of Cablevision when it was being introduced. You can take a day and just plan to stay up for as long as you can to binge watch and catch up with all of your favorites. People can become so engaged in the struggles and the triumphs of the characters they follow. Game of Thrones, I'm sure, has made significant revenue these past few weeks. The announcement that the last and closing episode would be aired a couple Sundays back. People who never saw Games of Thrones decided I need to binge watch. There was a whole lot of episodes and series to watch to get caught up so you could just know what's happening at the end.
Right.
You know, people really do live their lives like that. All right, let me stay on track. A story is not a story unless there is conflict. No one likes it, no one wants it, but everyone will watch it. The Bible is just that when it narrates for us the lives and times of biblical characters, their struggles, challenges, imperfections. People just being people, humans just being humans. Yet God enters into these struggles and challenges and makes announcements with unconditional promises of unmeasured blessings. Flaws, fractured, failures, and all, conflict, confusion, and chaos. He makes promises, unconditional promises, to the flawed and to the fractured and to the failing. This passage is just that kind of a story. The drama in the text plays out in chapter 21 of Genesis. Hagar, an Egyptian, Now, sometimes folk preach about her like you don't know who she is. I'm trying to tell you what the Bible says she is. Now, I hope you hurry up and get this. She's a woman of color, kind of dark color. Hagar, an Egyptian girl, was servant of Sarai, Abraham's wife. The childless Sarai gave Hagar to the 85-year-old Abram as a concubine or a surrogate so that she could have her husband's child through her maid. Sarah was so mean and insolent to Hagar when she became pregnant. Sarah complained to Abraham, who told her that Hagar was her slave, therefore she could do with her whatever she wanted. Just a note here, this bothers me because it sounds like, it plays out like I'll use you till I get what I want. And when I get what I want, I just dispose of you. Now, whose idea was this? Why are you upset with the decision you made? I'm going to... This might get personal down the road here because we're going to step into Hagar's experience, not as preachers have told, but the way she tells her story. She's not the troublesome one here because here's how family conflict plays out. You have to understand just how mad Sarai was that Abraham sneezed on Hagar and she was pregnant. You still don't get it. Because in her mind, she thought it'll be just as hard for you as it was for me. But it didn't happen. Sarai was mean to Hagar, and when she got pregnant, and Sarah, Sarah, do something with her. And Abraham said later what he should have said the first time. She's your servant. She's yours. Do you really want to do this? Have you thought it through? Let me pause for just a second, and this is probably, I'm going to try to make this the only kind of analogy here. You know, there was a husband that cheated on his wife, and they had a house full of children. And so the question was, what should I do? What should I do? And the response was, go meet her. Take out to lunch. And explain to her how this is going to play out. And you don't got to be mad because it'll be factual what you're going to say. So here's what you need to know. It's me. It's these children. It's the house, and it's a mortgage. Now you say you in love with him, and he says he's in love with you. Well, here's what you need to know. This is what your life is going to be like. For each one of these children, 17% of his check has to come to them. I'm not leaving my house because I've lived in it too long and I still have children to raise. So now you got 17% for each one of these children. You got a mortgage that he's going to pay. I've committed myself to not work outside the home, but in the home, so that when my children come in from school, they're not latchkey kids and sitting in somebody else's house that I don't know about, and other people doing stuff to my children that I later get mad and have to shoot them. So I don't have any plans of working outside my home. Now here's his check. This is what he makes. Y'all gonna love me. Now, you're gonna have to figure out a way how you gonna pay child support. You didn't get it. And pay for my mortgage and contribute to the 17% that each one of these kids are in this house, and you find a way to keep on loving him. Now, this is what cheating is going to cost you. And so now, you can have him if you want him. But just know this, when you take him, you get all of us. What would you like for dessert? Do exactly just like that. So the question to her was, do you think you can do that? Oh, I can do that. I probably can add on some more stuff that you didn't even mention. So just talk it. Play this tape all the way to the end. Because I promise you, when you get to the end of it, it ain't going to be happily ever after. It was a pleasure to meet you. I couldn't imagine what you could have looked like or who you could be. I wondered how somebody could fall in love with somebody who's already in love, said they was in love with somebody else. Because did it ever occur to you that while he's cheating on me, and when you get him, you'll be wondering for the rest of y'all's cheating life who he's cheating on with you. Now y'all clap your hands and act like you're in church. Because there's about a cluster of y'all. Who was that? Who was that? Don't worry. It wasn't you. But should it ever be, before you come to see me, you got the story. Now, let me go back to the Bible. Put that on Facebook. Oh, Jesus. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. And so, Sarah, I can't get past Sarah and her mean self. Sarah treated Hagar so harshly that she ran to the desert. What do you do when you do what someone has asked you to do, and the outcome is what is expected, and everyone involved is miserable? What do? In that age-old adage, you got what you wanted, you should be happy, and you're not. Sarah's idea of helping God out, Abraham going along with it, Hagar drawn into this now triangulated relationship is nothing less than misery. Don't let folk draw you into their problems. Sarah made life so miserable for Hagar that she is on the run. She has to escape the conflict. There's problems here. And I should tell you, I have problems with Sarai and Abram. So often innocent people are drawn into other folks' drama and made miserable because their best ideas are in fact their worst ideas. People are pulled into situations which later become major problems and are made to suffer for the outcome. When God spoke to Abram and later to Sarai, Hagar's name was not brought into any conversation by God. Everything God said he would do, he said he would do it. No surrogates, no in vitro, no assistance from anyone. You cannot help God out and it work out for you. When the plan fails, somebody is going to be miserable. When your plan fails, somebody is going to be angry. When the idea of helping God out falls apart, somebody will be on the run. It's a good thing this is not where the story ends. Watching conflict is interesting. It has you on the edge of your seat. You're so engaged in the plot, you tell the characters, work through how to work through the conflict. Don't go that way. Don't trust that one. You better not do that. Don't open that up. You act like you don't do that. Let me tell you about my wife. She doesn't like suspense stories. But she gets drawn in up until. And it gets there, and I'm thinking, all right. We go, oh, shut that down. I don't want to see no more. I don't want to see no more. I don't want to know. No, listen, you done come this far. We ain't shutting down nothing. You can leave the room, but I want to know how this story is going to turn out. She don't like him. She just don't like him. Let me hurry up and get done. I'm stopping too many times, but I don't know how many of you know Chiller Theater. This is an old y'all probably didn't stay up that late. Some of y'all are real safe too. I'm sorry. I don't know how many of y'all remember Dark Shadows. Well, since you're trying to act like you don't know what I'm talking about, how many of you all remember The Edge of Night? The Secret Storm. another world. The hook is on Monday and Tuesday, they review what happened Thursday and Friday. Tuesday to Wednesday, they open up a whole new plot. Thursday, they repeat what happened Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. Friday, they leave you hanging. Now, you really want to know about a story, you go to the barbershop. Because there was a thought at one time, men don't watch soap operas. You go to the barbershop and listen to them brothers talk about what happened. And they do it every week. They get to Friday, 5 minutes before the show is over, and they leave you hanging. And you keep coming back. You get unhooked, unhinged, and then you get hooked and hanging again. You get unhooked, you get hanged. And as soon as there is no more plot, no more scheming, you stop watching it. As much as folk love Empire, now you know what I'm talking about. The plots are starting to fizzle out. They're getting old. They don't have as much suspense. It's not fresh. You know, you're almost looking at it and you're like, this one's gonna get written out, that one's gonna get killed. Somebody's new is showing up. He's gonna be somebody's child that nobody don't know nothing about. That's what hooks us. The issue here with Hagar, when you start in chapter 16, there is the question, how is this thing going to work out for this woman who is now a mother parenting alone with a child she didn't ask for, and the people who drew her into their drama have now discarded her, so they don't need her no more. Anybody ever traveled that road, been on that journey where people have loved you long enough to get what they want, and then they leave you? And when they leave you, they don't even turn around to see if they left you all right. But would you tap somebody and just talk real soft, because we're going to shout in a minute, and just say to them, but I'm blessed anyway. We step into these stories. We engage with the characters. We tell them from our sofas what they should be doing on the screen. What I and you tend to forget is the script has already been written. And you wouldn't be watching it if there was no resolution to the conflict. Yeah, we like to watch conflict. We like a good plot and a good fight. Yeah, you do. There is something intriguing and compelling about the cheering on the underdog, and the underdog being the victor in the end. The mess up has a message. God will do everything God said he would do. The conflict was not your fault, and you're going to be happy and blessed anyway. So walk with me, will you, just a little further. An angel meets Hagar at a spring and tells her to return to Sarah. Do you want me to go back to the place that's hurting me most? Well, let me hurry up and get through this. Here's what you need to know. The greater your blessing, the greater the pain. Don't waste your pain. The level of your pain tells you the quality and the quantity of your blessing. Don't waste your pain. Feel it. Measure it, understand it, and when you have gotten the full perception and the conception of it, then your understanding has got to be, when I come out on the other side, my blessings will be equal to my pain, and then even greater. The angel is in prophetic mode and prophesies that Hagar will give birth to a son. You will name him, here we go, Ishmael, which means God hears, God sees. We are back at that gospel sort of place where angels are announcing the birth of children. announcing their gender and what their names shall be. Long before we got to sonograms and all of those other tests that will tell us the gender of the babies, and now these elaborate, expensive gender reveal parties. Lord help me. Thousands of dollars to tell everybody it's a boy. When back in the day you waited until the nurse came out, you got a boy, he's in the window over there, go over there and look at him. Which one is yours? It says boy, baby boy, your last name. Girl, baby girl, your last name. Don't get them confused. And if you got twins, it's baby A last name, baby B last name. It's yours. That's how it was done a long time ago. Technology, though, and science has made it so that you can prepare, know what to paint the room, and know what kind of furniture to buy way ahead of time and tell everybody the baby's name is going to be Archie. So you can have that fight nice and early. Archie who? Who in your family is named Archie? Where'd that come from? You're going to name him Ishmael. You will name him Ishmael. God is something with himself. Because what he does is while you're in trouble, he announces what your victory is going to be like. I've got to go back to the place that is causing me great trouble. I have to go back to the place and to the people that is causing me great sorrow. I've got to go back to the folk who have used me, abused me, and thrown me away. But when I go back to that place, I go back knowing that God has seen me. I go back to my mistress who told me to go have her baby. And when it happened just like she wanted it to, she got upset with me because I did what she told me to do. I've got to go back and suffer under her insolence. But I go back knowing that God has already heard me. That God has already seen me. And God had you to come to church today. Not to cry and to be sorry. But he wants you to know he knows your pain. He knows your sorrow. He understands your hardship. He knows that you're between a rock and a hard place. But he can make hard places easy because he has already announced to you, I saw you when you went in. I'm with you going through. But when you come out, you're coming out better than what you did when you went in because I've already heard you. I've already seen you. And I'm announcing that your outcome will be you are blessed anyway. Lift your hand and say yes. You'll name him Ishmael. He didn't stop there with just a name. But let me tell you about your child's future. And because you are bringing him into your blessing, his future is also connected to your outcome. Your outcome is connected to his future. You don't get it. He's going to be blessed, and then he's going to turn around and bless you. When people tell your story, they won't tell it the way that it really happened. They got stuck at you bearing Abraham's child, but they never told what you went through in Abraham's house. But just know this, suffering has a victory. Sorrow has joy. Confusion has peace. Says the angel in prophetic mode. His name shall be called Ishmael, which means God hears you and God sees you. Further, your descendants would be without number. Hagar returned, and in due course, she gave birth to Ishmael. 14 years later, when Abraham was 100 years old, Sarah gave birth to a son, and she named him Isaac. But when we read in chapter 21 of Genesis, there is more conflict within this layered family system. One father, two mothers, and two children who are a little more than a decade apart. This is already a complex, stressful, and sensitive living arrangement. Children being children, they do what children do. Ishmael is the teenager brother who picks on his younger brother. Sarah doesn't like it. She doesn't even like it, not even a little bit. She is aged, sensitive, and doesn't like it that her son is being mocked by the son of her slave. Ishmael is saying, your mama's an old woman. She can't even keep up with you. You running all over the place, and all she can do is sit and point. But look at my mama. She can sit out here and play with both of them. That boy don't know if he was in the projects. What you say about my mama? Sarah didn't like it. There was nothing she could do about it. She is aged, she's sensitive. Now we revisit an old conversation. The conversation is summed up in 4 words. They got to go. They got to go. When Hagar leaves this time, she has a Genesis 16 compensation promise package. You see, while at the well, the angel told her that God hears you. I feel my dance right there. While on the run in the wilderness, their supplies are exhausted, and Hagar is sure that they are about to die. Now that their supplies are exhausted, she's preparing for death. Not wanting to see Ishmael die, she put him under a shrub. She went some distance away and cried. And here is where I feel my dance again. God heard her. Can you help me, priest, so we can go home? Can you tell the folk in your row, God heard you? Can you go the other way and say to them, I don't know what's happening. God heard you. Well, act like you on faith row, on faith row, on faith row. Tell somebody else it doesn't matter what you're going through. God heard you. Problems which were not of your creating. You need to know today that God heard you when you cried. Despite the misery, the conflict, and the wandering, you are and will be blessed anyway. Mothers, you be encouraged today. Challenges and conflicts and confusion, which were not of your making, know that God heard you when you called him. He saw you when you went into your troubles. He walked with you through them. He promises you today that I will be better. You will be better coming out than what you were going in. You will be blessed anyway. I feel real churchy. For your shame, you shall have double. For your confusion, you shall rejoice in their portion. Therefore, in their land, you shall possess the double. Everlasting joy shall be under them. Oh, help me one more time. Tell a few folk I got a double coming. I can't wait for y'all to get happy. Y'all too slow. Go the other way and say to somebody, I got double coming. These promises, they seem to run parallel because it sounds like what God said to Abraham, he's also saying to the slave woman. You see, sometimes we draw folk into our confusion and we tend to walk away leaving them confused. But God says not so. Because you drew them in, your blessing is going to be theirs too. So here's what you need to know, Hagar. When you come out of this, you're going to be so numbered that when they start counting, they still can't find numbers to count your blessing. It will be larger. It will be wider. It will be farther than what you can see. Says when Hagar was getting ready to die, the angel showed up and said, not yet. God's got something else coming. I came from Canarsie by way of Atlantic Avenue, by Hopkinson, by Monroe Street, to announce to the church folk, when you get ready to die, God is saying to you, not yet. I got some more coming for you. When you think you can't stand no more, God is saying, get ready, get ready, get ready. Because eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, neither has it entered into the hearts of men what God has in store for you. But the next line says, but God is revealing. Get ready for the uncovering. Get ready for the revealing. The revealing and the uncovering is so great that just when you think you've seen it all, he's still got more to show you. Say yes, say yes, say yes. Double. Get ready. Double is coming. Get ready. Double is coming. You don't have no imagination. But look around this church house from the front to the back. What do you think double gonna look like? Folk in the aisles. Folk standing up beside the wall. Say yes. Double. Ambulances pulling up. Not to take folk out, but to drop folk off. Because they heard that the sick is getting healed. That the blind, their eyes are opening. That deaf folk don't need sign language no more. That the lame and the crippled are starting to walk. Cancer is drying up. Terminal diseases have been reversed. Folk who were dying is now living. Double. Get ready for good measure. Pressed down, shaken together, running over. Yes. Secondly, God has an angel assigned to you to watch over you and yours, to protect you and to shield you. Let me have church a minute. You ain't got to go way back, but just think about a few days ago, a few months ago, a few weeks ago, since the year came in. Places where things have happened to you, and it should not have turned out the way that it did. Well, you can't be thinking because you're still quiet. It's impossible to see the places where you should have been taken out. And you here to tell your own story. What should have taken you out? What should have brought you to your demise? God will use it and make it to bless you anyway. The encouraging words of Joseph at the end of his troubles still encourage us today as well. What you meant for evil, God turned it around for good. at me. God bless me from the pit to the palace, from jail to second in command. He blessed me anyway. Let me try to close. You should remember that God will provide for you every step of the way. Hagar was in the desert. Her supplies exhausted. She placed the son under a shrub. She goes a distance away, so she can't hear him crying, and he can't hear her crying. Here we go. The angel shows up again because God heard her cries. The angel tells her not to fear. Neither of you are going to die here. You will not just survive, but you will thrive. Here is what that will look like. Your son is going to grow up, and he will be an ancestor of a great nation. Here's what God does again. He opens her eyes in the desert, and nearby she saw a well. There she can fill her water bottles, give her son something to drink. Yes, there is that moment when you have to stop crying so God can open your eyes so you can see your blessings in the driest of times, in the heat of your troubles. I will make a way in the wilderness and the rivers in the desert. Well, let me close here. I love it when a story has a good ending. You know those childhood stories, when you would get to the end of it, there's that last line that would put everybody to sleep. And they lived happily ever after. Catch up, folk, church is over. Well, Hagar and Ishmael have that kind of ending in Genesis chapter 21, in verses 20 and 21. So God was with the lad, and he grew up and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. He dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him. She went down to Egypt. She went down to Egypt. She went down to Egypt. Y'all still ain't getting it. Look, boy, you need a wife like your mama. Because us dark-skinned girls, we can survive. Well, where y'all at? Us brown-skinned girls, we can handle. Us caramel girls, we can handle. Boy, you need a girl like your mama. After all we've been through, you gonna need somebody like your mama. Lord, I wish somebody would get loose in here and tell us colored girls can. And I don't mean colored like it used to be. Ain't no other woman in the world but a black woman will set a table and no food in the house. And walk around in the kitchen like something is getting on the stove. Because she knows God heard us. He's going to send something through somebody from somewhere. Ishmael, you need an Egyptian girl. What did the preacher preach about today? You need a sister. You put that up on Facebook. Anybody looking for a wife, tell God to send you a sister. Please be encouraged, mothers. Please be encouraged, fathers and families. Your story has a happy ending because you are blessed. Anyway, your story, despite the present trouble, has a happy ending. You can't see it today, but it is there. It's waiting for you. God has your blessing, which is tailored specifically for you. You will live happily ever after. Can you help me close and tell a few folk, I feel my happy coming? Yeah, do it again. I feel my happy coming. Yeah, tell somebody else, I feel my happy coming. Yeah. I want you to take a faith leap with me as we close out and leave here, because I want you to go out of here happy. I want you to go out of here enjoy. I want you to sit over your dinner today and make everybody upset and just say, I'm just blessed. Anyway, turn the restaurant out. When everybody else bow their head to say grace, stick your hands up in the air. Tell them in Bonefish Grill, I'm blessed. Somebody gonna say, I want what they're having over there at that table. What did they order? It ain't on the menu. I'm really trying to close. But who do you know in the world can have all of these diagnoses and everybody else with the same diagnosis is dying, and you look like there is nothing the matter with you? Oh, come on, soul. Every other side. Shandamo say. Who else can do that? You will be happy ever after. Let me really close. Dodie Osteen was talking, and I almost jumped where I was standing. She said I was 40 years old with a house full of children. They told me I had terminal cancer. I had a few days to live. She says, I am 85 years old. Y'all ain't getting this, but I am 85 years old. And I guess the only thing wrong with her is when she's hungry, she just won't eat. That's a good thing to have wrong with you. Do you know we look at miracles all the time and we've gotten so used to them that we keep asking God for more, and he's telling us, why don't you look at the ones? Mother Board is sitting up here in the pulpit for all of y'all to look at. You hear me what I say? Her story runs parallel. We need to operate right now. And here's what she said. I'm not taking the operation. And God is not finished with me yet. August will be 1 year when the doctor started to count down, and she's still here. I'm quitting. But I want you all to act like evangelists. I want you to take a faith leap with me. I know we talked about things coming, but faith means you stand in the place as if it has already happened. I want you to help me with that. I want you to help me with that. And I really need you to be uninhibited, unrestricted, and unbridled. There's a lot of uns. But what does that mean? Unrestricted, unbridled, and uninhibited. I mean, there's no space for being restrained. And you say, well, I'm really not loud. Today, you got to find your loud. Today, you got to find your voice. You got to crank it up as far as you can go. What I want you to do is declare to as many folk as you can. We're not talking about in the past, but we're talking about as if it has already happened, because where God is already done. Here's what you're going to preach. My happiness is here, and I'm blessed anyway.